from South Carolina. Mr. Fry is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Part of the IRS's duty is to ensure that taxpayers are treated fairly, are informed, receive quality service, and are ensured the protection of their privacy and confidentiality. I understand this is an important role for any agency to play. However, there are serious instances in which preventative measures failed against cyber attacks, or tax information was mishandled, resulting in needless and very expensive damages to the American taxpayers. Since 2010, the GAO has made over 450 recommendations aimed at strengthening the safeguards for taxpayer information and access to tax processing systems. Director, I want to start by asking you, how many open GAO recommendations are there with the IRS currently?
Well, as I mentioned in my statement, they've implemented about 85% of the recommendations. There are others that are still open, and some of the ones that are key include 40 recommendations from our financial statement audit related to information system security.
And related to some of those 40, what are most of them about?
It's a range of different topics. Some of them have to do with identifying threats and being sure that it has systems in place for that. Understanding and managing the risks to systems and the supply chain capabilities. There's some around protecting information as well as detecting breaches.
How many recommendations have been given to the IRS since the appointment of Commissioner Werfel?
That I would have to get back to you on.
Okay. In July of this year, the GAO sent a letter to Commissioner Werfel that encouraged Congress to hold hearings focused on the IRS's progress and withhold funds when appropriate or provide incentives. Director, are you concerned with the IRS's ability to keep pace with the GAO recommendations?
Certainly, it's an ongoing conversation between GAO and IRS. We do have a rigorous follow-up process, and we've seen progress, particularly on those recommendations that we've identified as being related to the enforcement of tax laws, that high-risk area, and those that our agency has designated as priorities. But there are others that are still remaining open, including things about making sure that it has that it's be able to communicate information about the correspondence backlog, that has a human capital strategy in place, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, that on the security side, that it's adequately protecting information, that it's got centralized monitoring of contractors who have access to taxpayer information, and that employees who are that IRS employees who oversee contractors know how to report if they see a breach.
Thank you. Commissioner, your website states that the IRS stops, quote, most fraudulent tax returns, but if fraud is suspected, the IRS will contact you via email with instructions. How long does it take for the IRS to identify fraud after a Form 14039 is submitted?
Unfortunately, I have to answer in this way. It depends. I mean, sometimes we can see just with what's submitted, we'll run an algorithm and we'll say something's very, very off, and we'll say there's a fraud situation. Sometimes someone will call with a tip into the tip line. Sometimes the GAO or the Inspector General will point something out to us that lets us know there's fraud. So there's a variety of different ways in which it manifests itself, so there's no set time.
Are you able to say whether that rate has increased under your watch or not?
It's too early to tell. I'm 7 months in. What I'm trying to do right now is make sure that we're spending our money smartly on investments to improve fraud detection.
Great. Commissioner, take it into a different tack here. Has the IRS entered into any MOUs or any other agreement with the Treasury Department or the CFPB for the purpose of sharing consumer-level transaction data?
Not that I'm aware of. I'd have to get back to you on that.
When do you think so you're not aware of any MOUs or other agreements?
Not at my fingertips. I'm not aware of that.
When do you think that you could get back to us on that?
By tomorrow, I'll let you know.
So by tomorrow, if there are any MOUs or other agreements, could you provide copies of those by tomorrow?
As long as I'm authorized to do so, yes.
Great. Mr. Chairman, with that, I yield back. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back his time. Thank you very much.